It's another episode of Is This a Pickleball Podcast with your host, Matthew K. Pickleball. I am joined by, I guess, my better pickleball half, Mr. Wilson. How are you today?
Hey Matt, I'm doing good. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing well. Buffy wasn't eating her dinner, but you had a little bit, you were running a little late, so I was able to give her some extra special attention. So Buffy has eaten her dinner, and
That's good.
yeah, I'm excited. And all right, folks, if you listen to us right then, just ask how we were doing. That means you should subscribe to this podcast. So you can subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube, but we're also on all the major podcast platforms. I'll be sure to leave a link. That's Apple Podcasts, that's Spotify, and all the others. So definitely subscribe. It helps us out a lot. And I keep saying this in all my review videos when I'm telling folks to subscribe, but Wilson's over here telling me if we don't get some more subscribers, he's going to try to jump ship and try and get in over on All Drives podcast and join Mr. Pickle and those guys. So in order to keep some peace in the pickleball podverse, hit subscribe. Even my dog, I just heard her running into the room. She's running to subscribe, so please do that.
Yeah, do Matt a favor.
No, do Wilson a favor. He's
do me a favor.
But what have you been up to, Wilson? I know you've been away from pickleball this week, so anything you want to share? Are you doing okay?
Yeah, everything's good. The last 2 weeks I've been kind of busy with life, and so I haven't been really playing pickleball. I played maybe once or twice, Yeah, so over the week, last week, I had my 35th birthday. Whoa, I get to go sign up for 35 plus tournaments now, right?
Nice.
Yeah, so that, and then I got to celebrate my 1 year wedding anniversary with my wife. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, big week for Wilson. And
Yeah.
folks, I texted him when, since this is family friendly, what I'll say is when life gets busy. All right, everyone, this is Buffy. Wait a second. Buffy wants to say hi. Buffy. Buffy's.
Oh, hey
Hey
Buffy.
This is Buffy. Hey, everyone. Buffy.
Hi Buffy.
Buffy is missing her mom. Her mom's out. All right, but what I was saying, and Buffy agrees. Oh, you got some eye gunk. All right, podcast listeners, if you can't see, the most adorable dog has entered the pod, and she might third wheel this for us today.
That's awesome.
We'll see. Uh-oh, not the microphone. She went right for the snowball. Anyway, what I was telling Wilson over text. All right, Buffy, are you... All right, okay. We'll try this. We'll see what happens. What did I tell you, Wilson? I sent you a text. You said you liked it.
I did. What was it saying again?
What was it? It was... Sorry. When life gets busy, sometimes pickleball just has to take a back seat. Kind of like what just happened with Buffy here. Sometimes your priorities can't be pickleball, and folks, that's okay. The courts will be there. The players will be there. The games will be there. Take care of yourself. Do what you need to do. Prioritize. On that note, Wilson, there was an update this past week. All right, I was challenged. I challenged the universe. I wanted ZaneNavratil to get a hold of the fact that you were roasting him, that you're saying he was a big complainer, that's all of his content. And I figured out how to make a little reel on Instagram, a little clip of the pod of you roasting him. And Zane commented. He said, "What up, boys?" So I do have a feeling he didn't watch till the end of the clip. But a hello from a pro player like that's pretty cool. So
we were acknowledged.
We were acknowledged. That's all we're looking for in life. But all right. Actually, having Buffy in my lap is going to complicate this a little bit, but because I like to pull out all my visual aids. But let's see. Let's give this a whirl. All right. Let's jump into things, Wilson. I just posted on the Matthew K. Pickleball channel my JOOLA Pro 4 review. and that has to be one of the hardest reviews I've ever done. Do you wonder why, Wilson? Ask me why. Ask me.
Why is that, Matt?
Oh man, it's because I've always been, and I talk about this in the review, but I've always been a super budget focused like pickleball person. Like that's why I got into watching YouTube reviews. I was always looking for the best bang for my buck. I know that's the same kind of player you are as well, like just always hunting for value. And these JOOLA Pro 4 paddles are $280. And for this line, they are not doing discounts. And so that is like a legit $280 price tag. And they have that pretty much everywhere. Even if you go to Pickleball Central, like it is $280. Like that's the price. That's what you have to pay. And if you do end up buying one, if you use my link, I will get a commission still, which does go and help support the channel. And it doesn't cost you anything extra. But $280 is a lot of money. And so I went out to the courts and I was super trepidatious. I was suspicious because I've been a value-minded player for forever. And the thing is, Wilson, the JOOLA Pro 4 paddles do play differently than anything I've ever played with before.
So they could be worth it.
And I go in the review, if you've got money to burn, that's a good bonfire to dump it into, because they are a lot of fun and incredibly unique. And so yeah, watch the review, and in that review there's a giveaway. So if you can't afford 280, you might be able to win one. So all the details on how to do that are up on the review, so definitely check that out. And yeah, that's really my big update. That review actually took me a long time because I went there. Did both the Agassi and the Ben Johns, 14 and 16 millimeter, and it was a lot of playing. And kind of like you, I've had not for like I went a whole week without playing pickleball last week, and this week I didn't play a whole lot. Just life, like what you're saying, and so just getting enough time on the courts to do all the testing was a challenge. But yeah, once again though, just really incredible paddles. I do hope to see like it trickle down into into some lower price tech. All right, folks, if you hear snorts throughout this podcast, just know that's my pug Buffy. She's in my lap, and she when she gets annoyed by something I say, she's going to let me know. She's like that. There are a few commenters. There are a few of you in the comments just like her. So luckily I'm pretty used to it. So please ignore any snorts or snores. But pretty soon your dog Hoke is going to jump in, and we're just going to have a whole dog party. But all right, Wilson, I wanted to ask you though. What's the deal? Our last podcast about the 11.624 power core crushing, that one took off. I know it was a little clickbaity, but whew, people ate the worm right off the hook on that one. But it was nice to see David, the owner of 11.624, in the comments, sort of clarifying that he took care of it fast, which I know he did respond to you quickly. But what's the update? How's this process going for you?
Yeah, I already
and to remind folks, if you didn't tune in, check that other pod out. But Wilson purchased on his own an 11.624 power Harache, one of the very first batches, if I remember correctly. And
very first one, yep.
Very first, and it core crushed a couple weeks ago. And so, where are you at? What's happened? I know you reached out.
Yeah, so when my paddles started to crackle, I reached out to David, and I know it's a small company, but he reached out to me within the same day, and he just asked for my serial number on my paddle, and the next day he sent me a new one. I got a USPS tracking number, and the new one was coming, and within the week, I got a replacement, and I also heard in the comments that other people who did have the same issues had the same wonderful customer service. But I also saw a lot of comments where people said that they played so many hours with their 11.624 power paddle, and didn't even have an issue. And I think majority of the people won't have any issues because I've seen a lot of them at my local courts, and no one seems to have any issues. Even some bangers or hard hitters, they're not having the same issues as me. And I think David said that in one of his comments in the previous video that it's a very, very small percentage. And I believe him because, I've been playing with the new one and hasn't had any issues yet.
Nice. Yeah, everyone go check his comment out. It's in the other pod. But yeah, it's a super low rate. But yeah, paddles core crush. That's, just what happens with some of them. These are factories. And so, yeah, glad to hear. And by the way, everyone, I don't believe when Wilson initiated his warranty claim or anything like that, I don't think he knew you were involved with this podcast or with like a reviewer. I don't think. And so, like, I imagine that's how all customers are treated. So, yeah, great. It's a great spot to be in when you have an issue and it gets resolved. And it doesn't sound like it was a huge hassle, which I've dealt with some. Before I was reviewing paddles, I dealt with some a little bit of irksome returns on my end regarding some paddle issues. So I'm glad to hear David is killing it on that front. And now, you know what? The big topic of the day is tariffs. I'm sure everyone is tired of hearing about them, tired of talking about them, and probably tired of the anxiety associated with them on both the consumer side and on the paddle company side. But and we're actually, you know what, Wilson, we're not going to talk about it. Other than I'll say a few things. Obviously, if the cost of something goes up, the price is going to go up. It's pretty simple. And so, a company potentially could eat that cost, but that, the paddle space isn't a high margin market when it comes to the lower price paddles. And we'll see what happens. I'm actually trying to, instead of us just pontificating and digging into this, I am actually trying to get an interview over with Larry at KiwiLabs. KiwiLabs is a paddle company. I just reviewed their Circuit Gen3 paddle, which is a really, really fun paddle. And I've been reviewing their paddles for a long time, but they're a company based out in Michigan, run by a guy named Larry. Larry has a YouTube channel himself, and he's always sort of like posting sort of the experience of what it is to be a small paddle company owner. And he actually did a little brief post about like how the tariffs are impacting him and his business, or potentially because everything is up in the air. It's sort of hard to really figure out anything. But I'm trying to interview him and really get an insider's perspective, like someone that's actually going through it. And he ran through some numbers on his YouTube channel. Definitely check it out. And then, yeah, subscribe. I'm going to try and make that happen, that interview. He's a busy guy though, so I'm going to but I love the Circuit. There's a review of that on the channel. But also, this is their classic. It's called the Slice, and I love this paddle. It's one of my earliest reviews, and this thing is sick. If you don't know about KiwiLabs, check them out. The Slice and the Circuit are their standouts, but they've got a lot of other paddles too, including some budget paddles. And then, I don't know if you spotted this, Wilson. I was drinking my tea.
Oh.
You see this?
Hey, pickle.
Dillarino, sort of like the Duderino from the Big Lebowski. Well, this is from Bread and Butter Pickleball. They got some cool coffee mug or tea mug selections, but so check those out. But Doug over at Bread and Butter also did a video. I actually haven't gotten to watch this one, but he did a video about the tariffs too, which I'm sure will have some valuable insights. But hopefully the Dillarino's price isn't going to go up, because this thing, my dad is gonna love this. Are you a fan of the Big Lebowski, Wilson?
I honestly haven't seen that movie yet.
Oh my gosh. Everyone roast Mr.
I
Wilson down
know.
in the comments. Oh man. I wanted to know,
Hey,
I'm more, go ahead, go ahead. What's your defense?
if I will watch it if we how many views should we get in this on this video?
Oh my gosh, don't set it to this is going to be a low view video. I say if we can get 800, I think, on YouTube is a
Okay.
lofty goal for this podcast.
All
But
right. All right.
ideally, eventually, we'll be breaking 1,000 on every podcast. In fact, folks, if you have ideas, like what would make this podcast better for you all, because like I am still doing review videos, but I want this podcast to be sort of where we have conversations like while I'm doing the reviews, and I can't review everything that I get to find out about and discover. And so, yeah, if you have ideas on how to make the podcast better, let us know. But definitely roast Wilson for not watching The Big Lebowski. And then I'm more of a No Country for Old Men fan when it comes to the Coen brothers, but I'm also, if Fargo, if someone puts that on, it's hard to step away. But The Big Lebowski, bro, like get with it. All right,
Okay.
come on,
Okay. I
man.
will.
Anyway, tell us, folks, which one of us two is Donnie in this podcast? See, you Wilson, you don't even get it. But anyway,
Over my head. Right now. Right now. I promise I'll watch it.
good. Anyway, all right. Now I want to do our probably one of my favorite sections of the pod. And I really hope I said the character's name right just then, Donnie. But anyway, oh my gosh, that'd be so embarrassing. But anywho, what are we testing right now? This segment is presented by our friends over at SwiftNet. And Wilson, I did want to talk a little bit about SwiftNet today really quickly. They claim that you can set that net up in 3 minutes. And I know you use that net a lot. Is that claim true, do you think? 3 minute setup.
Honestly, if I rushed and I really tried, I probably could.
All right.
I just like to take care of my equipment since I purchased everything with my own money, right? So I'm like very careful with the carbon fiber poles and making
Okay.
sure things don't fall. Even with me being careful, I would say 5 minutes is very comfortable.
All
But three
right.
minutes,
Okay.
I could see it happening. Yeah.
All right. 3 minutes if you're quick. Wilson's a patient and very
Oh no, 5 minutes.
careful man, so he added two. But yeah, 3 minute setup, like for me, I'm always lugging that A11N net around, and I played this week and you weren't there. And that's fast to set up, but it's certainly not 5 minutes. And then I'm getting old, Wilson, because that 40-pound net, the A11N one, I'm jealous of that. They say the SwiftNet is 17 pounds, and
Yep,
so I am very
exactly.
jealous of that. And so hopefully I'll be able to get one to test on my own soon. But a few other things I wanted to say about it. SwiftNet's made by a company called CRTC. We talked about them last pod, but I didn't have the info in front of me. But that actually stands for Composite Recycling Technology Center. And I looked into it, and they are a not-for-profit, so we were right. And they're based out of Washington State over on the border with Canada. And that company, or that group of people, they're all about sustainability. And yes, you were correct. Their nets and some other stuff that they work on, it's made out of recycled carbon fiber from the aerospace industry. And then I do want to remind all the listeners, I now have a promo code with them. It's promo code Matthew K. Right now the net is on sale for $370, but with promo code Matthew K, it'll knock off another $20, making it $350. And I am now convinced that is very much worth it. After having used yours, and just like I was really hesitant to believe it, but I think it is the best net out there right now, because it really, like, I don't think you have a lot of cord cheats with the SwiftNet at all. And the fact that it is so light and easy to do, like I thought I could lug that big A11N around. Like, it's a great net. I do think if it had wheels, it'd be easier, but it takes up way too much space in my car, and I think I'm a convert. I think you've won me over. The SwiftNet is, I think, probably the best portable, or even, I would say, semi-permanent option, because of the portability. Yeah.
Your A11 N Pro or Tournament Net, it definitely is better, but granted, it's like 3-4 times the weight, so there's that balance, right?
Right.
So yeah,
It offers a little bit more functionality, closer to a permanent net, but I think the SwiftNet, the price and the convenience factor outweighs it, unless you have a spot like where you're like
you can leave it.
Leave it, exactly right. But all right, and so we're still testing out the SwiftNet, but folks, I would not sleep on that deal. I don't know how long that promo code is going to be active with them, so definitely don't sleep on that. And now, what else are we testing? I gotta tell you, Wilson.
Hey, the Vatics. Is that blue?
These are the Vatics, the Vatic Sagas, the Bloom shape, 14 and 16 millimeter, and I have to tell you, the 14 in particular, Vatic, they were my first real Vatic. They were my first real paddles that I ever purchased. I started with the V7 Pro, went to the Flash Pro, and that was my main for like a really long time. But I haven't really visited Vatic ever since becoming a Honolulu convert. But these paddles are special, and I'm trying to get this review done because I'm really enjoying them, especially the 14 millimeter Saga, and I really do love this shape. And so that's what I'm working on now. Folks, if you've used this one, let me know what you think. Once again, we talked about this last week, but it's 10 millimeter cell honeycomb, very unique. And then it is Gen 1.5, and supposedly it's using some sort of special material in the middle layer of the layup. And I am becoming more and more convinced that, yeah, I'm becoming very convinced about 14 millimeter paddles when they're not using traditional 8 millimeter cell polypropylene. There's some magic that can happen. I'm not generally a fan of 14 millimeters when it's a normal Gen 2 paddle with 8 millimeter cells, but when there's something kooky going on, like if you're hesitant to try a 14 millimeter, the Saga, I don't know what it is, but there's a guy in the comments that will let me know. But these are ones to definitely try out. But on a similar note, though, in addition to the Vatics, I did get to hit with the Spartus's Oracle in a similar shape. And once again, this one is from their Bargain Apex line. Matthew K, promo code Matthew K makes this less than $80. And this is also using 10 millimeter cells, and it's using a carbon fiber fiberglass carbon fiber layup with that gel reinforcement, kind of like PaddleTech is doing, but it's a Gen 1 paddle. And first, I really like this paddle too. Like, it's going to be hard for me to pick which one. But it's different, and I need to put some more hits on both of them to really get my thoughts in order. But one thing that sticks out, Spartus ages and ages ago got some heat on a podcast. I think it was Pickleball Pursuit, about he had an issue with one of their handles on one of their old paddles. And after that, like, they like did a lot, and their handles, this handle is one of the most comfortable handles I have ever like experienced. And this is a super budget paddle. And so this one's in the rotation. And then I am trying to move ahead on always playing catch up. But my Franklin C45 review, I do want to get a video on this, but now they're releasing new shapes. And so I don't know how I'm going to do that video. I'm trying to be a little more strategic about the dedicated reviews, but this is a very interesting paddle. I'm not trying to do one of the crazy weight setups that we're seeing online. Like that's just, I don't like to customize paddles that much. But I'm enjoying this, and this is a powerhouse for sure.
What's your
What are you
setup right
looking at?
now?
Just, I guess I didn't. You know what? This is good to mention. I don't know. Can this get... So has now released... BodhiPickleball has now released their own pre-cut tungsten strips. And this stuff I'm really liking. It doesn't play super nicely with the Franklin edgeguard just because it's got this weird, I don't know, shimmering edgeguard, and the glue adheres to it more. But I think that's an issue with Franklin's paddles, not with the Bodhi tape. But I'll definitely keep experimenting on other paddles. But no, I already have, and yeah, it's fine. It's just this particular edgeguard treatment. But yeah, really loving. I think that's a great addition to Bodhi's line of accessories. So promo code Matthew K works over there. They've got everything. We're going to talk about them more later in the video or later in the podcast. But love that they added that. And then, I am catching up on some ProXR. So these are all their older releases. And what's cool about ProXR is they don't throw out their old releases when they come out with the new release. So like this is the old Zane paddle, and this one is and so this one was
Shout out to Zane.
Shout out to Zane. And this one was 14 millimeter, and I actually am really liking this one. And what's cool is ProXR, you can still get their older paddles. I don't know if like they still produce them, but they definitely, like I just checked on their site, like if you want one of the older paddles, you can get it. And they're a really cool company. I'm trying to just do a video about them in general, and their older signature series. So from that 14 millimeter, the Zane paddle, they released last year the 13 millimeter, and this thing is powerful. And then their control, I don't know if they call this control, but the 16 millimeter version of the signature series is definitely control oriented. But they're really fun paddles. The old Zane one has really struck a chord, but I'm also going to play with the 13 millimeter one some more as well. And then as far as my final updates, and don't forget, folks, Buffy's on my lap, so I'm a little constrained. But on top of paddles, I am testing out Head's new MotionProBoa pickleball shoes. And the big thing that they're now utilizing this Boa tech, which is basically laceless. You guys can hear all these clicks. The shoes have these little wheels instead of laces, and you can tighten or loosen them. And I really like that because, first off, like nothing's worse than playing pickleball and having to tie your shoes and ice yourself out, really break your own flow. And these things you can tighten really quickly. And I was actually a fan. I played for a really long time with an old pair of Head shoes. I don't remember what they were, but I always loved the fit of those shoes. They were felt very mobile, and I love the fit. And I would say these harken to that really well. I would say if you have a wide foot, this might be a little bit of a reach for you. I'm pretty sensitive to a wide midsection, and this is right on the line for me. But it's very, very, I like the fit. It's just, I know if it was even just a hair tighter, it would be tricky for me. But maybe because you can customize how tight the midsection is so well, maybe that's helping. But really good shoes. And actually, our mutual friend that we pickle with sometimes, Dwayne, actually told me that tech has been in cycling and snowboarding shoes. So it's actually come to pickleball. And so, yeah, it's cool to sort of see pickleball pick up the other tech innovations. And finally, my last sort of what we're testing right now update is, so trigger grip, everyone. Wilson has been testing this out. But the owner actually checked out the podcast segment and wanted to clarify that this is actually not a training tool. It is intended to sort of live on your handle like a Hesselcore. And I think that will be easier. So everyone, this was a prototype, so a very rigid bump. What they're making is made out of silicone, I believe. And so I think it would be fun if we could get those units and really actually test what the final product is and see how playable it is. But yeah, maybe it's not for everyone. But if I can get one of those, I think it'd be fun. But yeah, he wanted to make sure folks know it's intended to sort of be like on your handle all the time. And so, yeah, that's really all I got on the what are we testing right now. Did you have anything? I know you've been away from pickleball, so no worries if you don't.
No, I haven't had too much time to test anything. So sorry on that
All
end.
right. All right. No worries, Wilson. It's okay. It's all right. So, but, oh man, you got me talking a lot then on this one. People are always wanting you to talk more, but I'm going to just chug along here because.
Just a quick question though. Love your sweater.
Uh-oh.
Where did you get that from?
Oh, this is from one of my favorites. This is from the SlappLife company that we were talking about for a while, that do those sort of kooky paddles that harken to sort of racquetball players. Yeah,
I really like that sweater.
They've got great apparel and great hats, and they use a lot of different vendors. And I can tell like someone at that company like is very like plugged into like the vendors, and this is actually a Champions.
Champion.
Yeah,
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's really nice. I really like it. But we're not doing a fit check today. So, but thank you, Wilson. But let's move to new gear alerts. All right. I knew Wilson was away from pickleball. I knew we were putting a pin in the tariff conversation. So I thought I would just let folks know about some of the cool stuff that's coming out that maybe not everyone has talked about just yet. And the first one I wanted to cover is from our friends over at BodyHelix. I have a lot of reviews of their paddles, of some of their older paddles on the channel. I was actually one of the first reviewers to do paddle reviews on their paddles. And since then, though, they have been doing a lot of stuff. They have started a sandbox program. That's what they call it. And that's basically, if you're familiar with Selkirk Labs, it's sort of like their take on that, except more affordable. And basically, they involve like their everyone, whoever wants to purchase, you can buy basically like a prototype that they're testing out and sort of like do what reviewers do and like get an inside scoop, feel things out. And I think this paddle went through that program. I can't remember if this one went through it, but this is the Flick Gen 3 Pickleball Paddle. Flick Gen 3 Pickleball Paddle. So this is their take on a Gen 3 paddle, and it is USAP approved. And so I'm really curious how this one hits. And so I'm going to try to work on that. And one thing I want to just highlight about BodyHelix's paddles is, once again, I know I just said this about the Oracle from Spartus, right? That's from Spartus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is BodyHelix, though, and their handles are right there as well. I believe it's a single molded piece, just like a tennis racket. I would have to double check that, but they're just some of the best feeling handles that you can get. And so definitely keep your eye out for that. And then, yeah, super slow, so I don't know when that review will happen, but I'm excited about it. Another Gen 3 paddle. This is one you probably haven't seen. I think this is an early review unit, but it's from another Michigan company like KiwiLabs. So many Michigan companies, called Temper. And this is the Nimbus, and this is their take on a Gen 3 paddle. And I've reviewed some of their paddles in the past. They're sort of a company known for being adventurous with their shapes. And I actually anointed their first Gen 2 paddle that came out last year. It's called the TC14 Pro as I think I said it was my top control paddle of 2024. Not a lot of people have hit with that one. They're definitely not that big out here on the West Coast, or at least in SoCal. But yeah, they are pushing. They're working on some cool stuff, and so I'm excited to hit with this one. It's just a very unique shape. And I was a big fan of their older paddles, but also what they did last year. And then I don't have these with me, but Wilson, have you seen it? Have you seen the full foam Honolulu prototypes floating around on the interwebs?
No, I have not. I didn't even know they were trying that technology out.
So yeah, I talked to the owner, and yeah, that's something that they're working on. I don't think there's a timing for that, and I do think they've been hit with some shipping issues, but that's something that they're working on. And I've also seen, in addition to that, the owner sent me images of, I imagine he has them in hand, of a J7 titanium and a J7 titanium plus. And so that was the elongated shape. There's some diehard fans of that shape. And so their plus models come in, titanium models come in. And then in addition to that, I have seen images of a J3K plus and a J3 titanium plus. And so it seems like the plus line is expanding, and I'm really curious on those in particular, because the one I want to see if mid-court flat shots. So you're at the baseline and you're trying to hit your opponent's like maybe right in front of the kitchen, and they're at the baseline. So a short serve, basically. That is like the one shot that I think is a little tricky with the J2K plus, and I want to see how the other shapes perform in that department. And then I need some help from the audience. All right. Because I need to get a Honolulu paddle video going. And so which one do you all want first? The J3XK review or this one, which I haven't...
Those are the J2s.
What did I say? Oh, J2KX.
Yeah.
The names, everyone knows it. Honolulu's names are hard. But so I'm going to review the J2XK. So that's the J2K that's had the bottom bits shaved off, so you have that extended handle for two-handers, which is always people's questions with the J2K. Like, how's the two-hander? Like, do you have space? I personally think the J2K has plenty of space for two-handers, but not everyone does. I also think the J2K is very easy to whip, even without that extended handle. So I'm curious how much stability you lose by doing that shave off. And yeah, maybe you get more whips. Maybe you can activate more power on putaways. TBD. But do we want this one to get reviewed first? The J2XK and the J2XK Pro? Or this one, which I don't think anyone has reviewed, which is like crazy to me. But this is like the Pizza Peel Honolulu paddle, the J4K and the J4K Pro. So this one is like, looks like Frankenstein. It's supposed to be massively stable. Which one? Let me know down in the comments. If you're listening on Spotify, I'll put a survey as well. Click there. I really want to get another Honolulu paddle video going. So which one should I review? And now we're wrapping up the new gear alerts. But I did want to highlight that Volair. So this was their last release, the green Kevlar. But they are now working on four different paddles or four different shapes for one that is T700 carbon fiber and a PET polymer blend surface. So some folks still call that titanium. And I saw them. They look freaking cool. And they're using a fiberglass carbon fiber layup. So that's pretty unique. And it's going to be a hot mold build. And yeah, I'm really curious what those are going to play like. You've got the signature hybrid shape, a brand new elongated with what they're saying is a 6.5 inch handle. And they clarified it's a true 6.5 inch handle. So we'll have to get the tape measure out for that. And then a brand new wide body shape, which they're saying has that same handle. So, and I'm assuming it's not in my notes, but I'm assuming the old school wide body like this, that is super popular. And I really do love that shape. And then that's it for paddle, new paddle alerts, but that's not it for new gear alerts. All right. I've kind of hinted. UDRIPPIN. I love this hat, by the way. But UDRIPPIN, I think they heard the Matthew K. Pickleball plea for tackiness, tacky grips. They have created a new grip called FreakyTack, and they're claiming it's the tackiest tack ever. And they sent me this nice little box, and inside this box, they gave me, all right, FreakyTack. I have one overgrip to test. And so I'm really having to be precious and figure out which paddle to put that on. But yeah, they left me a little note. And basically, they believe they're the tackiest grips on the market. And yeah, I'm going to test it out. I'll let you know. I was a Tourna MegaTack lover for the longest time. And I've really gotten used to UDRIPPIN and then Bodhi's grips as well, which balance both of them, although they do have different lines. UDRIPPIN has other lines as well. But both, like the dedicated pickleball grips seem to balance cushion and tack a little bit more. So they're often just a little thicker than the Tourna MegaTacks were. Or I also had used bootleg Tourna MegaTacks that were even thinner. But yeah, I'm curious to see what a pickleball grip that is advertised as the tackiest out there is like, because I am a huge fan of tacky grips. And so yeah, that's all I've got for new gear alerts. Anything
That's
on
it?
your radar? That's it. Anything
That's it.
on your radar?
No, sorry. But I have been I've been warming up with the oh, I am brain farting the little temporary net. Um,
The Dinkaroo.
yes, the Dinkaroo. I've been messing around with that. I even played with it this morning. There was no space on the sidewalk, but I was doing volleys on the grass. That was kind of fun. So yeah, I still have that in my trunk because it's the size of one of those little click chairs, and yeah, I'm loving that. Yeah, it's a good investment for warming up, especially if there's like a long wait or if you're at a tournament. Yeah, the Dinkaroo's really good.
Yeah, the Dinkaroo is basically like a little mini dinking net, but we've actually practiced drives and it lets you know the height of the net. And so yeah, it's a really cool thing. I'd have to double check the price. Do you know the price?
I think it's $75, and there might be if you have a code, there might be a
Yeah, I have
discount
a
on that.
code, but yeah, the Dinkaroo net is advertised as 75, and then yeah, Matthew K will get you a discount. And
Yeah, there
so
you go.
yeah, so check it out. Sorry we didn't have that price right in front of us, but yeah, I definitely think it's worth it because it's really, if you're at open play and there's a long line, you've got something to do, and you're also working on your skills. Yeah, so thank you, Wilson. And then we do have a big topic to cover, but I think we're gonna jump to the tip of the week so I can drink some water, and then we'll sorry, the order will be a little different than normal, but let's jump to the tip of the week presented by BodhiPickleball. BodhiPickleball is one of Matthew K. Pickleball's favorite one of Matthew K. Pickleball Channel's favorite pickleball brands. They've got grips. They've got that new pre-cut tungsten. They've got tungsten tape. They've got hats. They've got sweatbands. Like, basically, they're a one-stop shop for all your pickleball accessory needs. And promo code Matthew K will get you a discount with them. And so definitely check them out. There will be a link in the description. But they are presenting Wilson's tip of the week. And so let's hear from you, Wilson. I'm going to shut up. Make us better pickleball players.
Yeah, so my tip of the week for this week is something that happens even before we start, 002 start, right? It applies to tournaments, unfortunately, Matt. But it is choosing the side of the court, choosing sides of the court, and which side to start on. And my tip is that number one, you should take into consideration which side you want to start on. For the most courts are built on tennis courts, and I like to have the side that has the shortest back, the space behind the baseline. I like to start on that side, and that's usually the side where the tennis net is. And the reason is that you are kind of jammed up against the tennis net, and there's not a lot of space for you to take steps back to if there are stronger players, people who can serve really hard, and you want some more time to react to their shots. And the reason why I would choose the worst side first is that in tournaments, you either play 2 out of 3 games, or you play up to 1 game, and you'll switch halfway through, either at 6 or 8, depending if you're going to play up to 11 or 15. So you want to start on the side that's worse. The reason is because you are only going to be there for the first, for example, for most round robin games, round robin tournaments, it's only 1 game. So you're only going to be there for 6 points. And then once you switch, you can be there for another 6 points or more. So you'll have more time on the side that's more favorable, which has a lot more backspace behind the baseline. So that's something to take into consideration. There's also where the sun is. Think about where the sun is. I much rather look at the sun for the first few points and then switch over to something a little more comfortable. So I'd rather look into the sun in the beginning, switch after 6 points. Let's say the worst scenario, which is I get 0-0-6, and then we switch sides. There you go. After that, they're in the sun for at least 5 or more points. So there's that sun, backspace, and there is wind. Me personally, I like to play against the wind. But if you are a weak player and you want some more oomph in your shot, you might want to play with the wind, where the wind is blowing behind you towards your opponent. But if you feel like you're hitting long, and you're not keeping the ball in, you might be like me and you want to play against the wind. That's something to consider. Most people, I've noticed that most people do like playing with the wind, so that their shots are a little more faster and more powerful. So yeah, one thing is, so to wrap things up, is check the backspace behind the baseline. You would want to start on the shorter side so that you have more time on the side that has more space. So the side where the tennis net is usually the shorter side. 2, sun. Make sure I would recommend that you start on the sunny side, the unfavorable side, so that you spend more time on the shaded side, or the side where the sun is not in your eyes, especially during lobs. And 3, wind. The wind, make sure you know which side you like, which side is your strength, with the wind, against the wind. So those are the 3 things that I think about before I even start a match in a tournament.
Nice. So, if I understand it right, assuming you get to choose the side, Wilson is saying eat your vegetables first and get to the dessert later. So, pick your poison. Which is the nastiest for you? Is it lack of space? Is it sun in your eyes? Or is it which wind direction? And figure out what's the most evil for you and just get it out of the way and look forward to the reprieve that comes after. I think that's good advice. I think that's good live advice. All of your game advice, all your pickleball advice, I always just like put it towards life. And so brush your teeth, like get the annoying stuff, get your homework done, get that annoying client project done, then go to the court so you don't have to worry about the bad stuff that's going to come.
There you go.
I like that. All right, folks, we got one more segment, but everyone say goodbye. Say goodbye. Oh, Buffy.
Hi,
Say
Buffy.
goodbye to Buffy. Buffy's a wet fish all of a sudden. I'm sorry, girl. Yeah, go ahead. That's Buffy. She needed to get off the lap, but I didn't want to interrupt Wilson's tip of the week, presented by BodhiPickleball. So link in the description. There's no link for Buffy. She lives with me and her mom, my girlfriend. She just had her 3-year birthday, and she is not available for purchase. So don't even bother. But I wanted to talk, this is the topic, this is hopefully what the thumbnail is about, and I know we don't have a lot of time left, but I want to talk about monocoque paddles. And so monocoque, you might have heard this term, that is what Adidas's new Metalbone line is all about, and basically it's referencing one-piece construction. Like most paddles, are built, there's an edge guard, there's a core material, there's a handle, and it's all sort of pressed together, thermoformed, glued together, whatever, and then it becomes a single piece. For a Gen 2 paddle, it becomes a single piece. A monocoque paddle is basically more like a tennis racket, where there's a frame and then the core is put inside of it. And so it has a different feel, typically. That's supposed to be the case. But I wanted to, and so that's become a feature that's being discussed a little bit with the Adidas paddles. And I don't have the Adidas paddles to test. I mean, I dug around. I've listened to some feedback from some folks. The new Metalbones, they're around $250. With the ones that have the adjustable weights. So like that's the claim to fame about the Metalbones. Those paddles, they have these bolts that you come with the paddle that have spaces that you can plug them into to change the weight. And then Pickleball Studio did an infamous sort of review on them on the original, and they've come back with new versions. And yeah, there's still some critiques about how that system works, because basically, like, it's still hard to sort of. There's some criticism about like the bolts, if you whack someone, both going for a shot or just how they actually affect twist weight, the placement, and now that tungsten or even lead tape, like it's so easy to use that to adjust paddles. Maybe this technique that seems to be being pulled from paddle, maybe it doesn't have the best place in pickleball. Although I do have a rebuttal on that, which we're going to get to. But as far as the Metalbones go, $250. You can get them from Pickleball Central. If you use my link down in the description, I believe you'll get a discount for them. But yeah, it's $250 for a paddle that you might not see in the wild to play test. And some of the reviewers have gotten them, so definitely go check their videos out. I won't really say anything because I haven't hit with them. I can comment though, like they do have a UPA approved, like only approved for UPA play that has an EVA core. Which is supposed to be really powerful. I'm not sure how I feel about like a UPA only paddle. I think that's going to become like we already had to deal with like the 3S's and all of that. And Like, I still see ripples all over the place. And it sort of just takes, like, it can make rec play, like, not fun. Because folks that get those paddles are there to just, like, take heads off, I feel,
Bang
a lot
away.
of the time.
Yeah.
Especially when you're at open play with, like, someone you don't know as your partner. It's just, like, not fun. But Monocoque, though, is actually not exclusive to Adidas. And that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit. There's, oh my goodness, Paddle Avalanche, typical podcast, but there is a small brand. What's in here, do you think? Is this Pulp Fiction?
It's a machine gun.
It's a leather case, or faux leather, I'm not sure, and it's from a company called OM. I believe OM. I believe it's OM. Maybe it's but OM. And they actually did a monocoque paddle last year called the OM 1, and it's a paddle that I have hit with. I never managed to get a review on it because at the time of its release, it was a $250 paddle. But it uses a frame design, so like a tennis racket, and then the core, and then the surface material. So it has a very different feel, and some people really like how it feels. Like, you'll see on the internet, like, people with, like, tennis elbow issues commenting about this paddle, but I don't have that issue. I can't really comment on that, but it was a very interesting paddle, and I actually had talked to the owner before it had come out, and he, like, he was very design focused. Like, he wanted to, like, create the Apple of pickleball paddles. He wanted to be that brand. And he's not the only brand owner, pickleball paddle company owner, that has, like, sort of, like, thought about, like, the image of the company and what the end goal was, and then try to figure out the tech to then get to that. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but basically I think he was super excited to be like this high-end paddle company, but it's really hard for people to take a leap of faith on a $250 paddle that they can't play test, that doesn't have a reputation. And actually they have substantially lowered this price for this particular paddle to this particular model. On the site right now, it's $150, and that's $100 off of what it used to be. It used to be $250, and with this very strange promo code OMX Matthew K, that knocks off another $15. So you can get one of these right now for $135, which is like way cheaper than a metal bone. And you can still customize it with weight, and you don't have to worry about knocking someone's retina off with those bolts hanging off. But and I think they did market this better. They didn't really lean on the term monocoque. They called it a pickleball racket, and that is basically what it is. Instead of strings, core material. And yeah, I actually do think with that sale, it's a brand to check out. And I'm going to revisit this as well. I think it's super interesting. And they have also produced a version with an EVA core, like what Adidas is doing. I'm not sure if those are available right now, but they do have a new version that's elongated that just came out. And they seem to be sort of like a small batch company, so they'll do a wave, it'll sell out, and then you really have to make sure you get in on the next wave. But yeah, they seem really excited about the elongated version, and so maybe I could get that one and do a comparison. I'm not sure, but monocoque is not new. It has been around. Ohm did it last year with this paddle, and they called it a racket. But they're not the only name doing this, Wilson. Can you believe this? Can you guess who else is doing it?
Who else is doing it?
Well, I'll tell you. Onyx. Onyx is also doing paddles with frames. They're calling it a carbon fiber power frame, but yeah, it is the same concept. It is a frame with core material. And I'm excited to hit with these, and these Malice paddles. Like, I actually am not super familiar with Onyx paddles. Like, obviously they haven't been that popular for a while, and so I think they're trying to really like do something different. And so yeah, they did this frame design, and they did this cool thing. Instead of their gimmick being like built-in bolts or whatever, they added this vibration dampening insert for this particular model. And yeah, that's interesting because I know you and I both care about vibration dampening, and I will also say their handle feels nice. And so did the paddle. Ugh, I wish I had looked up if it was or Om. I think it's like meditation, but the Onyx paddles are pretty neat looking, and yeah, I want to hit those. And then, to be honest, even those companies aren't the first people that did this in pickleball, because when I first got the paddle, does it let's say Arrow 1, that's what it was called, the Arrow 1. When I first got that, I actually did like a pretty deep dive because it seemed like it was like a revolutionary approach to making pickleball paddles, and I did a little internet sleuthing at the time, and so I dug it back up. But years and years ago, Pickleball Studio did a paddle review when he was a baby reviewer. The way Matthew K. Pickleball is, he did a review of a paddle before pickleball was huge, with a paddle that actually had a very similar frame design as this particular paddle, and it was from a company called Kitchen Pro. And for some reason, Pickleball Will was with Pickleball Studio, and so they were both in this video review. And they basically roasted the paddles, but it was not because of the frame design. They were actually excited about that, but they didn't like the surfaces that had been used. And that was, I think, before... I don't know. I think maybe they were reviewing it when raw carbon fiber was first coming about, but yeah, they just didn't like it. And yeah, that company was gone. Disappeared. I don't know if it was as the result of their
power of
combo.
reviewers, huh?
Yeah, power. It's the power of getting both of them in the same video, just roasting. And they were doing a giveaway too, which is like was added salt to the wound, I'm sure, for that company. But I actually think, I have no proof of this, I have a feeling the mold for this paddle, for the frame part, might be the same one. It was super similar. But I have no idea. I have no way to prove that.
I think on Instagram, I saw that Wilson, the Wilson came out with a similar racket style pickleball paddle.
Oh, I have seen.
I only saw Instagram like promotions. I actually don't know any information about it, but it does look interesting, and it looks like more of a racket. So that sounds pretty interesting.
It definitely has a throat hole. I'm not sure if it is a frame or not. We can definitely talk about it on the next pod.
Yeah.
But I already know I won't be getting those to test.
Yeah.
I tried. But folks, if you know someone at Wilson, if you want to hear about them on this channel, definitely reach out, help me out. And then, since we were just talking about some Adidas alternatives, because I do think $250 is going to be a hard price. Like $30 more, you can buy the Yola, right? But if you're excited, I already know those EVA ones are popular, but I don't know really how many were available to purchase. But if you are wanting to get in on that EVA train, those are UPA approved, right? Not USAP. So you could go do some bargain hunting. If you guys aren't familiar, HUDEF is a company that does really high quality paddles, but at budget prices. And this is, oh, Buffy did a little cry. She must not like HUDEF. But this is, yes, I know you're a fan of HUDEF, but Buffy, we'll convert her. We'll convert her. But HUDEF has new era paddles that are EVA, and this one I believe is sold out right now. But the real the real standout of the line, in my opinion, is an EVA paddle with a carbon fiber surface. And so this one is available, and I believe it's $130, but after promo code Matthew K knocks off 15%, it's $110. And so, yeah, if you're going to have to face Ripples or the new Adidas EVA paddles, this might be worth grabbing one and putting in your bag so you have a counter. And it's super budget. Yeah, $110. Like, I really actually can't believe it. But so this is EVA. I don't know if you guys can hear that. EVA, but $110. All right. So yeah. So those are some alternatives, and then just regarding sort of Adidas's attempt to like build in weight to the paddle, I think there's some better ways to do it. There's this company. I have no idea how you pronounce it. Srikel, Srikel, like they have these paddles here that this one we've definitely seen many iterations of from companies. This is the one they're really focusing on right now. It's called the Aura, and it's yeah, I haven't hit with it. It's a nice looking paddle. TBD if it like does anything revolutionary, but in my conversations with them, I found out that they're prototyping a paddle that has adjustable built-in weight. So you can, that was the big criticism with the original Metalbone, and I'm pretty sure it's still an issue with the new ones. But here you figure out where you want the weight, and then you can adjust it and shift it down, etc. Right?
That's super cool.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty neat innovation. Like, still, you could just get tungsten, but if you're gonna do built-in weight and like give the consumer everything they need, I think this is probably a better approach. And so I'm excited.
It's great for experimenting because tungsten, you got to peel it off, you got to reapply it if it sticks.
That's a really good point.
Just move it up.
That's a really good point. I actually didn't think about that. It definitely does make fine-tuning easier. Yeah, That is a very, very good point, Wilson. And then right now this is a prototype, and so I don't know if you can purchase this, but I do know something similar has been done at a company called PaddleShop, and they're known for this bargain Gen 3 paddle called the Planker, but they have a paddle with this sliding weight. So I'll be sure to leave links for all of these companies down in the video description. So if you want to get in on that and try it out, that would be the PaddleShop would be the place to check out. And so yeah, those are just some options. If you see something with this Adidas release that you're excited about, whether it's the Monocoque design, whether it's having an EVA foam paddle or having some built-in weight options, there's some other paddles that won't cost you as much that you can get some of these features. I also think Adidas, it would behoove them to maybe look at these as well. And really, I think more than anything, focus on what they're trying to do. Maybe involve more folks. Sort of like, I really like how BodyHelix does things. Like, they're experimenting, they're looping in their consumers in the process. Selkirk does that with the Labs paddles as well. But I think if you're trying to do a big swing and break into this pickleball market, especially with the costs going up with what we're going to talk about on another pod regarding tariffs, you should really, I think, build your consumer base, bring them into the process. And so food for thought, Adidas. But yeah, that's really all I've got. Monocoque paddles, they exist. They are not just the Metalbone. Are they Racquets? I think there's a good argument to be made that they could definitely take that label. So I hope that was interesting. And Wilson, is there anything else? Any questions? Any more life advice you want to share before we say goodbye?
No, I think we're good on my end.
We're good. Wilson says we're good. Buffy looks like she's napping. She's good. All I want to say is, everyone, thank you so much for listening and really helping this channel. And Wilson, I'm working on the gratitude front, and I just want to say how much I appreciate you helping me with this. Like
Oh,
this,
you're welcome.
this has become one of the probably the most fun parts because like doing the YouTubing can be very lonely, and so having you do this with me has been a ton of fun. And then yeah, the Buffy alarm went off. She's got another thing to do, so I'm gonna hop off. But please like and subscribe to the channel. That helps a ton. And then follow us on all the podcast apps. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're everywhere. But more than anything, I hope you get to pickle soon. We both, Wilson and I both hope you get to pickle soon. But just don't forget, it's about having fun.